All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order for October 4th, 2018. Everybody, please stand. Would Councilwoman McKinney please lead us? Oh, I'm sorry, you have a special intention first?
Not queued up for that, sorry. I want to, a Kenner resident passed away this Friday, September 28th, Jose Ishmael Meja. This was sudden, and I just want to pray for his family. Also, my mother, Janet Katsanis, has been in the hospital for the past few days. I also want to pray for her as well.
Thank you. Councilman Carroll?
Thank you, Mr. President. I too also would like to ask everyone prayers for Mr. Jerome Small, a lifelong resident of the city of Kenner, not only himself, but his family for many, many years. And I ask that you pray for him, for his family, and for his close wife, children. Thank you.
Councilman Brennan? Oh, Brannigan, whichever. Bees go first.
This is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I think that we all have to make sure that we keep all of the people that unfortunately have that disease in our prayers.
And if you could keep my family in your prayers, please. My sister that passed away last month, keep her family and her children in your prayers, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Lord, thank us for this day and the opportunity to come together and make decisions for the best in our community and work together for the best of Kenner. Give us direction, fortitude, and grace to deal with all challenges that may lay ahead. Provide us with the ability to listen and work together. May we seek your guidance and work steadfastly in your name. Amen.
Thank you. Councilman Hayes, would you lead us in the prayer, please? A pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk?
Mr. President, you have a quorum this evening. In accordance with Council Resolution Number B14550, please be advised that all cellular telephones, pagers, beepers, and other devices of this nature must be deactivated or silenced throughout the council meeting. This evening, under resolutions, motions, and other items from the floor, Mr. President, I have received a request to add item 3F, application number 2114-18, porch and patio, to hold a public gathering on October 13, 2018, from noon to 11 p.m. for the purpose of Oktoberfest live music entertainment at 512 Williams Boulevard in Kenner, Louisiana.
I have a motion by Councilman Carroll, seconded by Councilman Segura, to amend the agenda to include item 3F. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in objection to this? Seeing none, council members, please vote.
Mr. President, motion passes 7-0. Under the consent agenda this evening, we have item 1, approval of minutes, the regular council meeting of September 20th, 2018. Item 2 is approval of alcoholic beverage permit applications. We have none. Item 3 is approval of bingo and public gathering applications. Item 3A is a resolution approving the application of Divine Mercy Catholic Church to conduct charitable games of pull, tabs, and raffle on October 12th, 13th, and 14th, 2018 at 4337 Salentini Parkway in Kenner, Louisiana. Item 3B is application number 2107-18. The City of Kenner to hold a public gathering on October 20th, 2018 from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. for the purpose of a wellness jamboree at Heritage Park parking lot in Kenner, Louisiana. Item 3C is application number 2113-18. The City of Kenner to hold a public gathering on October 12th, 2018 from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. for the purpose of Oktoberfest in Rivertown, Kenner, Louisiana. Item 3D is application number 2116-18, Kenner United Incorporated to hold a public gathering on October 27, 2018 from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. for the purpose of a fall cleanup day at Veterans Park. Item 3E is application number 2118-18, the City of Kenner to hold a public gathering on October 20th, 2018, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. for the purpose of a Halloween trunk or treat event in the parking lot of the Punch Train Center, Convention Center, and Civic Center at 4545 Williams Boulevard. Item 3F is application number 2114-18, Porch and Patio, to hold a public gathering on October 13, 2018, from noon to 11 p.m. for the purpose of Oktoberfest live music and entertainment at 512 Williams Boulevard. Item 4 is correspondence, reports from the mayor, CAO, or department heads.
Mayor, you have anything?
Yes, thank you. I have about 4 things, so just bear with me a little bit. First of all, we will have our own Oktoberfest next Friday in Rivertown. We've had Oktoberfest in the past. Last year, we did not have it last October because we actually lost the people from Deutsch's house that was coming out here. But we're going to try this on our own, and it falls to where we're doing one on Friday night, and I think Porch and Patio, as you've just heard, will be doing one on the 13th. So it'll be kind of like a little mini Oktoberfest, what people are used to, but we'll have it on those 2 nights in October. It will open at 6. The Bayou Bavarians will play from 6:30 to 7:30. No Idea will play from 8 until close, probably between 10 and 11. The food vendors will be anywhere to about 6, maybe 8 food vendors lined up, and also 10 to 15 crafters will be on hand. I think it'll be very nice. It'll happen in Rivertown next Friday night. We won't have another council meeting before then, so that's why I wanted to let the public know now. We also, this weekend at 9 o'clock this Saturday morning, the farmers market will return to, again, District 1, Rivertown. We have a lot of new vendors. We have also our former vendors that will be there and kicking off the farmers market again this Saturday. 2 things that I want to go into. First, I'm going to let Mr. Tommy Anselmo, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, come up and speak about the unconstitutional charter amendment that a previous council had to deal with, and that the city Kenner had to deal with. We know that it went to federal court over the last year, and it was not upheld by the federal court on our unclassified employees. So I'm not an attorney. I'm going to let Mr. Anselmo come up and inform the council where we are. The lawsuit is over with, but obviously there's a bill that goes with it. Then if you don't mind yielding it back to me for another brief introduction of some elected officials that are here with us tonight. Mr. Anselmo?
Mr. Zelma, over here, please.
Mr. Mayor, may it please the council, my name is Tommy Anselmo. I represent the city of Kenner in connection with the litigation that the mayor previously described. The nature of the claim, and forgive my voice, the allergies have got me right now. The nature of the claim was there was a city charter that had overwhelmingly passed, which tried to depoliticize the unclassified employees in connection with the political process. Certain employees filed an action against the city challenging that ordinance as an unconstitutional restriction on the rights of freedom of speech and freedom of association. We had a very detailed hearing before the federal court, and ultimately the court, in making a determination as to how to balance the rights of the parties, determined that the charter amendment was an unconstitutional burden on the rights of free speech and free association, and as a result, declared the charter amendment and just that amendment unconstitutional. Because of the nature of the claim being brought in federal court as a deprivation of civil rights, they were entitled to make a claim for attorney fees. They made that claim for fees in the amount of $51,475 and court costs of $405.85. The city opposed the fee award as being outside of what the normal award might be for attorneys of the nature, attorneys of their expertise and the number of attorneys that were working on the case opposed to the city. And ultimately, the court reduced the award by a total of $4,550. So right now, the city
because there was no appeal of the ultimate determination, and I see no basis for an appeal of the attorney fee award. The court made a very reasoned decision as to why the numbers would be what they are. And so right now the city has an obligation to pay the attorney fee and cost that are due. And I think the total of that right now, after the reduction, is $47,330.85. I'll be glad to answer any questions that the council or the mayor might have.
Don't see anybody. So just as my understanding and appreciation is, as you said, there was a charter amendment that was put up and went before the voters, and based on the language in that charter amendment, it passed, but then was challenged and subsequently the federal court said was unconstitutional. So it has to be struck from our charter, which I believe we've already done so. Well,
No.
by virtue of it being unconstitutional, what is the next process to get the language out of the charter?
That's
It certainly
something that
hasn't been enforced, so that's,
Yes,
it will not be enforced.
yes.
That's something we're going to have to work with this council with this legal department. And look, I'd like to add to that, to avoid these situations in the future, I don't see a problem on this council, but just to get this out there. The city attorney at the time, and I believe it was Mr. Keith Conley, warned the council that this was unconstitutional. So when your legal department looks at you and says there's a problem, let's avoid a $50,000 bill. And it could have been more, correct?
yes, sir.
It could have been more than that, but through Tommy's work, getting that bill down to, I say 50,000, 47,000, 48,000, whatever it is, if Lee Roussel tells you it's unconstitutional, let's stick with that. Because I appreciate what Mr. Conley tried to do at the time. It's not this council. I'm just advising and just asking, more so asking, let's go with our legal counsel.
Thank you, but getting back to that question, so if the
We'll address it.
language is still in the charter, even though I appreciate it's not being enforced, Ms. Lee Roussel, what is the process to get it removed from the charter?
Well, you would need another charter change, Councilman Seguer, but it cannot be enforced. So the court has ordered that it's unconstitutional, so we will not enforce it, we cannot enforce it. But to have it stricken from the charter, you would require a charter change, which would take action of this council.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's a step, so we'll move forward. Thank you.
Just one, I don't know if you're finished, Mr. Nzema, but one last thing from me is that for anybody who's out there saying, okay, so now political activity can happen through unclassified people, that's not true. As soon as this was, ruled against by the federal courts, I enacted the Hatch Act. So from 8:30 to 4:30, anybody who works for me, who works for you all, that's not classified, is not able to do any political activity. So I want the general public out there to know, the viewing audience to know that we do have restrictions in the city of Kenner for classified people, that they cannot use their position. And I'll just use code enforcement. I hate to pick on James Muhammad, but that's usually a good example. There's been some concern that code enforcement in the past, or that director or that assistant director might go out and use that code enforcement position. That's not happening. They're under the Hatch Act. He is, she is, all of them. Anybody sitting up here, any director, any assistant director, anyone, including your assistants, these two ladies. That's not going to happen. The Hatch Act, you break the Hatch Act, you're gone. Pure and simple.
All right, so I guess you're asking, how do we pay for this now, right?
Well, we've had some discussions in our agenda meetings. I don't know if you wanted to get into that right now, but I think there's some ways that we can work on that and move forward and not let this happen ever again.
All right, well then,
This is just informational tonight.
Sure, thank you.
There's no
But I-
ask on
No, I-
financing, I think, over the next
Deborah's not
couple of
passing a hat.
weeks. No, over the next couple of weeks, we'll address it with a funding source.
okay, thank you. So I just want to let again, the public be aware that this is a current outstanding legal bill that has to be paid, and so we need to address that. And, oh, Mr. Tommy, I think we had some questions pop up. So your administration and this council will work toward resolving that.
And I appreciate that, and not pointing the finger at you guys.
Thank you. Councilman Wilmot?
Thank you. I just had a question, point of clarification, Mr. Anselmo. You recited $47,330.85. That's just fees, or does that include the costs?
That includes the cost. The costs were only $405.85.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you. Thank you.
Councilman Carroll?
Thank you, Mr. President. And this is, I guess, open to any and all of the attorneys out there, and I guess specifically Attorney Roussel. It was stated that it is unconstitutional. We are not enforcing it. Councilman Segura said that it is still a part of the charter. And for us, I do believe we should take it out of our charter at the right time. But how would that be framed? Because it's unconstitutional. Do you ask people to, you don't ask them to vote for it because it's unconstitutional.
We would have to discuss that, Councilman Carroll. I don't think I'm prepared to answer that question tonight, but it would be something we would have to look at. Certainly, you don't want to go out for a charter amendment
Right.
just to delete a section of the charter that's been declared by a court as unconstitutional. I think you'd probably want to have a charter review committee that looked at several charter changes, and that would be included in the charter changes that you would put to the voters.
So it's like the other charter change. It is something put to the voters.
Right.
But it's unconstitutional. And I know this, I'm just springing this on you, but it kind of got me thinking, how do you say it's unconstitutional, but you have to vote on it? People, just to make sure everybody understands that. I guess we'll work that out, the language for it. But that is a concern that just thinking about it,
We can discuss it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
No other questions? Mr. Mayor?
And you have a presentation on there tonight, but I just wanted to recognize that I just spoke about Keith Conley. We have our COO from Jefferson Parish that's here with us tonight, Mr. Keith Conley. We have a former councilwoman, Maria DeFrancis, in the audience, and we also have our parish councilman, Dominic Abastada. This is your presentation, but I just wanted to recognize that those individuals are here. I think Dominic wants to kick off tonight's presentation and probably bring us up to date on what's happening with the city of Kenner inside of District 4, Jefferson Parish seat, and the things that he's been doing for the city of Kenner in that District 4 seat. If you could yield it to the councilman.
Well, we're going to, just as soon as we finish the consent agenda, which
Okay.
you're under, then we'll reorder the change.
That's fine.
And bring that up forward. Just to be fair, too, I also want to mention there's a former acting parish president here, Mr. Jose Gonzalez.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Mr. Jose, I did not see that.
All right. If you had no other comments in your,
As long as you recognize Dominic, I'm fine.
hey, Don. Okay, Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. That will conclude the consent agenda this evening.
Motion by Councilmember Brennan, second by Councilwoman Wilmot. Council members, please vote.
Mr. President, motion passes 7-0. At this time, I've received a request to change the order of business to take item 18A at the beginning of the meeting.
Motion by Councilman Segura, second by Councilman Brennan. Any discussion? Seeing none, members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 18A, at the request of Councilmember Segura, a presentation on the millage renewal by the Jefferson Parish Administration.
All right, as the mayor alluded, we have a variety of parish officials here to give us the education and understanding of what parish millages are up for renewal. So, Councilman Impostata, you can lead it off and introduce.
Thank you, my friends and colleagues. I don't want to steal former Councilman Conley's thunder, but I wanted to come tonight because I knew the presentation on the millage renewal was coming up, and wanted to make sure to just discuss a few things that our constituents, our joint constituents, yours and mine together, we hope understand as that November 6th election comes up. On November 6th, there will be a renewal of 3 different millages at the parish, and I'm going to take this opportunity to just explain or answer some questions that I've gotten very often in the last year. A lot of people in the city of Kenner don't always understand the dichotomy between the parish government and the city of Kenner, particularly as it comes to taxes. And one of the things that we know in Kenner is that actually our total taxes that we pay are typically less than a Metairie resident or a non-Kenner Jefferson Parish resident. But there are certain millages at the Jefferson Parish government where I represent constituents in the city of Kenner at the parish level. 85% of our budget, of the parish budget, is in dedicated millages. That means those are taxes that we pay for services provided by the Jefferson Parish government, not by the city of Kenner. So anyone who's concerned that, well, why should I vote for taxes for the Jefferson Parish that I'm already paying to the city of Kenner? Well, that's not the case. That's not at all what the situation is. These particular three taxes that Chief Operating Officer Conley, who at one time sat in those chairs as well as a councilman here, will explain in more detail what they are for so everyone understands. But those are three particular departments that, without these millages, will not exist, and departments will be completely defunded. One of which, and it relates to something Mayor Zahn was alluding to as far as what's going on in the city of Kenner, one of those is actually a drainage millage to help pay for the match for federal government dollars to pay for drainage improvements in Jefferson Parish. That will directly impact the number of the drainage projects that we are trying to undertake in Jefferson Parish for the benefit of the city of Kenner, not the least of which is at the north end of Wood Lake subdivision, the end of Loyola. We also have the airport drainage pumping station, new pumping station at the edge of the city of Kenner going on right now. But that money is drainage money to pay for the federal match for major drainage projects. We're talking to the tune of, upwards of $800 million that has been spent thus far in drainage improvements. So very, very necessary. Also, juvenile detention. So our juvenile justice system is funded by one of these millages. And the last one is Health and Human Services, which includes the animal shelter, includes the Health and Human Services Department and parish health units. Again, they have a presentation that'll explain it in detail. But I just want to make sure everyone knows these are renewals. These millages have been around for more than 10 years. This is a renewal of a past 10-year millage. It is not new taxes. It is not raising taxes in any way, shape, or form. It is simply renewing and continuing things exactly as they have been for the last 10 years. Frankly, these are millages that Mayor Zahn voted on when he was on the parish council, and I'm sure Ms. Foshee and others who were at Jefferson Parish government at that time, these were in existence then. So it's not new taxes, and these are departments that are dependent on those dedicated millages, a concept that we don't really have to deal with in the city of Kenner. But I just wanted to give that much information, and I'm not going to go into great detail on the other projects. I can come back and do that another time. I know y'all have a very busy agenda, but we have a few very, very big projects that we're excited about. We have the design. The design has been procured, and the funding has been secured for the vintage walking and bike trail that's going to connect Wilson Drive in Metairie to Power Boulevard. That'll be roughly $2 million project. We've secured funding from the Regional Planning Commission, which means it's not City of Kenner government dollars, it's not Jefferson Parish dollars. There's a match that's taken place. About 60% of that area is the City of Kenner. What we've been able to do at the parish is secure 2/3 of the funding from Jefferson Parish, so to help offset the cost here to the City of Kenner. But Councilman Hayes, Mayor Zahn have worked very closely with us to make sure that the Kenner side of it is taken care of, and that design is in place. We're expecting ground to be broken hopefully within the next 6 months. The turnaround at the Kenner Marketplace, the former Redwood site, I would assume Mayor Zahn's going to talk about that. I don't want to steal his thunder there, but Councilman Segura, Mayor Zahn, the administration, and the parish administration worked very hard this week to take a major step forward so that will go out to bid, knock on wood, within the next 30 days. So that development is, that U-turn, turnaround, whatever you want to call it, at West Esplanade between Power and Williams is a reality. It's going to happen. The funding is absolutely secured. The funding is there. It's going to happen. So we're very glad. By Monday, we expect final plans to be submitted to the Public Works Department in Jefferson Parish. So those are the two big ticket items. Absent questions from my friends and colleagues, I'll turn it over to former Councilman Conley, who's now the Chief Operating Officer in Jefferson Parish, so.
No questions?
On
so thank-
November 6, 2018, Jefferson Parish voters will be
Councilman, I'm glad you
asked
still
to renew
recognize me,
several
so
vital
thank you.
funding sources.
All right, do you want to lead into that?
That was a good lead-in. We do have a little video. It's about 45 minutes long. We like to play. It's about a 5-minute video.
All right,
Answer a lot
we
of
ordered dinner on your account.
That's if you could play, yeah.
For Jefferson Parish programs. This includes juvenile detention services, the Jefferson Parish Health Units, and Consolidated Drainage Number 2 for Southeast Louisiana Urban Flood Control Projects, commonly referred to as SELA. This video is intended to educate parish voters on the millage renewals. They're not new taxes, but a 10-year continuation of already existing property taxes. Jefferson Parish juveniles have committed very serious crimes, but more importantly, engaging in reform and rehabilitation efforts to reclaim their futures. The juvenile detention millage renewal is a 3.5 ad valorem property millage that currently funds 95.5% of operations for juvenile services, which employs over 130 people. This millage supports probation services, the juvenile detention facility, and a number of efforts that help the overall goal of converting troubled, misguided youth into productive and responsible members of our community. In 2010, Universal Crime Report data shows a 39% decrease in juvenile crime in Jefferson Parish. Without the funding of this important millage, the progressive programs offered by juvenile services would not be possible and public safety would be at a risk. The health unit millage has 3 components: Health and Human Services, the Animal Shelter, and the Parish Public Health Units. The Jefferson Parish Human Services Authority has been part of our community for nearly 30 years. Each year, JPHSA provides approximately 100,000 services to over 25,000 individuals and families affected by mental illness, substance abuse disorders, and intellectual or developmental disabilities. JPHSA also offers primary care through its Jeff Care program. This millage supports the overall goal of helping individuals achieve a better quality of life to participate more fully in our community. With an intake of over 9,500 animals per year, the Jefferson Parish Animal Shelter relies on this millage to fund operations and maintenance. The shelter also responds to over 2,500 service calls per year, including bites, attacks, cruelty, nuisance, and injured animal calls. In 2017, the new West Bank Animal Shelter opened its doors to the public, replacing the antiquated building on Ames Boulevard. The old facility made it extremely difficult to serve the animals or the public adequately. The new state-of-the-art facility on Lapalco has raised our West Bank capacity and the ability to treat the sickest animals that come into our care. In addition, plans are in the works for a new East Bank shelter in order to improve services. This millage funding allows the animal shelter to fulfill its overall goals of saving and protecting animals, providing care and treatment, and improving community outreach through education. Since September of 2011, the euthanasia rate for the shelter decreased from 75% to 18%, which translates into an 82% save rate. Through a partnership with the Louisiana Department of Health, the parish health units provide programs and services that protect and promote the health of the communities of our state. These programs and services include health screenings, assessments, laboratory testing, infectious disease reporting, and nutrition programs. Under the current dedicated millage, funding is used for the Jefferson Parish East Bank and West Bank Health Unit facilities to be properly maintained and operational. Services include repairs, renovations, and scheduling preventative and proactive maintenance to major building systems, such as the list you see here. All 3 services share the funding provided by the 2.26 ad valorem property millage that promotes the overall well-being of our community by supporting vital health services. The 5 mills authorized for Consolidated Drainage District Number 2 have paid for the parish's share of SELA drainage projects constructed over the last decade. Under the federal program, Jefferson Parish is obligated to pay 35% of the total cost of the projects, with the federal government funding the remaining 65%. To date, 59 projects have been completed with a total estimated construction cost of more than $615 million. Here's a list of some of the major items funded by the SELA program. As you can see, the projects made possible through the SELA millage increase our flood protection, improve resident safety, and enhance our federal match funding opportunities. In 2018, Pump to the River came online. This massive structure will help greatly reduce flooding issues in areas around Harahan and River Ridge by pumping directly to the Mississippi River. The $100 million facility has the capability of pumping out 9 inches of rain over a 24-hour period and can withstand winds up to 250 miles per hour. This station marks the completion of the SELA projects in Jefferson Parish and aligns with the Drainage Master Plan, which overall will reduce flooding parish-wide. The renewal of this millage is critical in order to remain competitive for federal drainage project maintenance, upgrades, and match funding. If you want to find out what these millages cost you as a homeowner or a business owner, please visit our website at jeffparish.net and utilize our millage calculator. Please remember to vote November 6, 2018, or plan to early vote beginning October 23rd.
That's basically our video presentation. I appreciate your time, Councilman Zagor, Mayor Zahn. All that information is on the website, www.jeffparish.net. There's a launch page that has the video. It also has one-page handouts or flyers. Our duty as a government is to educate the constituents and the public. We can't advocate for any of these villages, but, you know, so that's what we're doing so that nobody gets sticker shock when they walk into a polling place. We do have the directors here tonight if anybody has any further questions. If not, we appreciate your time, and, you know, this presentation is available to any civic groups, any audience. We're happy to come out and address any questions or concerns.
All right, I don't see any questions from up here. Administration, you don't have anything?
All right, well, we appreciate your time. And again, if we have to delve into it in any meetings you want us to come to, we'd be more than happy to address it.
Thank you, and thank you and all the other members of this parish administration for coming out tonight to give the presentation and answer any questions that anybody in the audience may grab y'all. Please do.
That'll work. And we're not going to test you on that SELA list either.
I was trying to watch it when it went by, but it was a little quick.
Thank you all very much.
Sure. All right. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Under the public appearance agenda this evening, we have item 9, public hearings for final passage. Item 9A is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 12,413, an ordinance amending Chapter 7 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Kenner regarding the distribution of solicited and unsolicited print matter. Mr. President, we've received the request this evening for a 2-meeting deferral, please.
Motion by Councilwoman McKinney, second by Councilmember Brennan. Any discussion? Seeing none, members please vote.
Mr. President, motion passes 7-0. Item 10 is opening of bids. We have none. Item 11 is reclassification of zoning for final passage. Item 11A is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 12,430, an ordinance approving the plan of re-subdivision of lots 15 through 32 and 93 through 100, square 134, Veteran Heights subdivision, Kenner Jefferson Parish, Louisiana, into Lot 15A, which lots are owned by Greek Orthodox Community of New Orleans Incorporated, and amending the City of Kenner's official zoning map, ordinance number 11,062, Unified Development Code, adopted March 17, 2016, and more particularly rezoning new lot 15A, square 134, from C1 Neighborhood Commercial, SI Special Industrial, and C1R Residential Commercial to C2 General Commercial, and directing and authorizing and empowering the planning director for the City of Kenner to alter and amend the official zoning map of the City of Kenner.
Motion by Councilman Carroll, second by Councilmember McKinney to open a public hearing. Council members, please vote.
Mr. President, motion passes 7-0.
We're now in a public hearing to discuss, we have a presentation, so
Please.
planning, please go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, the applicants, Dwyer, Cambry, and Suffren, located at 3000 West Esplanade Avenue. Property owners, Greek Orthodox Community Church of New Orleans at 1200 Robert E. Lee Boulevard. The petition property, the subject lots have frontage on Veterans Boulevard on the south, Tifton Street on the east, and Helena Street to the west, and are bound by Interstate 10 to the north. This property of the Veterans Boulevard corridor contains a combination of uses, including commercial development to the south along Veterans Boulevard, three-family residential development and vacant land to the west across Helena Street, and industrial uses and vacant land to the east across Tifton Street. In general, this end of Veterans Boulevard primarily contains commercial and industrial development going east toward Williams Boulevard, including auto sales and additional hotel development. The purpose of the re-subdivision is to accommodate the future development of a hotel on new lot 15A. The existing lots are all rectangular-shaped conforming lots, and they will form new lot 15A, which is a 61,920 square foot irregular shaped lot. The proposed lot will front in Veterans Boulevard and have vehicular access from both Tifton and Helena Streets. New lot 15A meets the minimum lot requirements of the C2 General Commercial Zoning District. The proposed re-subdivision also meets the criteria of a simple re-subdivision. The zoning of the petition property, the subject lots are currently zoned under three separate zoning districts. Lots 93 through 100 on the east side of Square 134 are currently zoned special industrial. Lots 15 through 20 on the west side are zoned neighborhood commercial, and lots 21 through 32, also on the west side of Square 134, are zoned C1R residential commercial. Lots 87 through 92 and Lot 86A, located in Square 134, are undeveloped and abut the subject lots to the north and east and are zoned special industrial. Lot 36X, which is developed as a church, also abuts the subject property to the north and is zoned C1R residential commercial. Lot 15A1 in Square 135, located due east across Tifton Avenue, is zoned special industrial and developed as industrial warehousing. Lots 3A, 6A, and 12A, located due south across Veterans in Square 126, are zoned neighborhood commercial and developed as commercial offices. Lot 95D, located due west across Helena Street in Square 133, is undeveloped and zoned neighborhood commercial. Lots 87A and 89A, also in Square 133, are zoned and developed as three-family residences. From 1957 to 1977, the City of Kenner zoning map designated the subject lots as RR3. By 1978, the square was rezoned to GO General Office, and then in 2005, the entire square was rezoned C1R Residential Commercial, where it remained in that category until adoption of the UDC on March 17, 2016. As part of the adoption of the Unified Development Code, lots 15 through 20 in Square 134 were rezoned from C1R Residential Commercial to C1 Neighborhood Commercial. Lots 93 to 100 in Square 134 was rezoned from C1R to SI Special Industrial. However, lots 21 to 32 were accidentally omitted from the Unified Development Code ordinance and zoning map, and thus remain zoned C1R pending the outcome of this case. The re-subdivision of the subject lots will result in a new lot being multi-zoned. Approximately 23% of the new lot will be zoned C1, 23% will be SI, and the remaining 54% of the lot will be zoned C1R, which does not exist in the UDC. Therefore, the proposed rezoning will rectify the split zoning, which creates a disincentive for development of the re-subdivided lots, as well as the original omission of lots 21 through 32 from the Unified Development Code ordinance and zoning map. Consistency with Pattern for Progress future land use map. The city's future land use plan indicates development along the Veterans Boulevard corridor will likely be impacted by the relocation of the airport terminal to the north side of the airport property. The proposed rezoning of these lots is consistent with the overall development pattern of the east end of the Veterans Boulevard corridor. The Kenner City Planning Commission voted to recommend approval of both the re-subdivision and the rezoning.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to comment on this? Please step forward, give us your name and address.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me, I still have the same allergy problem, but I'm Edward Sufferin. I'm with the Dwyer Cambry Law Firm. My address is 3000 West Esplanade Avenue, Suite 200. That's Metairie, Louisiana, 70002. The first part of our proposal tonight within the ordinance is to re-subdivide multiple lots into one lot of record. That's necessary to proceed with development. The second part is the rezoning, and here in this block, we actually have 3 different types of zoning, and one element of our zoning represents a down zoning, so we're actually bringing it down to a lower zoning classification. And as pointed out by staff, the Planning Commission did unanimously approve our request. We've requested that it be rezoned to C2. That would be general commercial. One of the permitted uses is for hotel. What the developer proposes is a Home 2 Suites by Hilton hotel. So it's a Hilton flag product. We'll have 105 hotel rooms. It's a 4-story new building, total new construction, and we have an $11 million development budget. Each room is going to have its own kitchen. It's an extended stay type of product. And the hotel will also have a free shuttle service to transport people around in a 10-mile radius. Our client is an experienced developer. There's some local hotel projects which you could look at and see what they've done. The Elmwood Residence Inn project in Elmwood, Homewood Suites on Severn, and we're under development right now in the Marigny for a Hampton Inn. The benefits of this rezoning will be local employment opportunities for citizens. It's going to increase tax revenue for the city, also provide for additional hotel rooms, which will benefit Kenner and its goal of becoming a destination in itself. Also, general economic development. We think this will help provide for amenities for the relocated airport at the north side. It's going to have general retail components along Veterans. It's going to create a synergy. More people will come to that area. Also here tonight, I have our project architect, Mr. Francisco Alacia. We're here for any questions you might have, and we respectfully request your support.
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience wish to address us on this matter? All right, I don't have any questions from you at this time. So, seeing nobody else wishing to come up, motion by Councilman Carroll, second by Councilman McKinney to close public hearing. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
Motion by Councilman Carroll, second by Councilman McKinney to approve. Councilman Carroll.
Thank you, sir. I would like to thank the attorneys for coming tonight, along with the architect, to show the city of Kenner as we move forward with this development along Veterans Highway. Obviously, the new development from the airport will change the look of that area forever, and it is our responsibility to ensure that it has a look of progression. It has a look of something that's modern. We have so many events that goes on in the city of New Orleans and Kenner, Sugar Bowl, and I found out that we will be getting the Super Bowl in another couple of years. So we have to be prepared to be able to accept not only we receive additional employment, we will receive additional taxes, be able to be, set the standard for people coming in when they come in and are treated with that southern hospitality, that they have the amenities that goes along with that. So I'd like to thank the planning department along with their support and the attorneys up until now. As we get closer to the actual structure, we will ask the architect and the attorney to come back to show us pictures so we can see. And there are a couple of things from a safety standpoint that we will be addressing. But up to this point, thank you guys for your support. Thank you all for having the confidence to come to the city of Kenner. We look forward to working with you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Seeing no other questions, then council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 12 is other ordinances for final passage. Item 12A is summary ordinance number 12,437, an ordinance amending Chapter 7 of the Code of Ordinances to the City of Kenner regarding loitering.
Motion,
Mr. Chairman, I've received a request to indefinitely defer this item tonight.
thank you. Motion by Councilman Brannigan, second by Councilman Segura on deferral. Any discussion? Councilman Brannigan?
I am moving to indefinitely defer item 12A on the agenda tonight for the following reasons. I'm asking my fellow council members to join me in indefinitely deferring this piece of legislation because I feel that just putting another law in the books is not the answer. We should use the laws that we have in place and the community resources available to address this situation as well as solve the problem. During the last 2 weeks, I've been tagged as the councilman proposing a new law because homeless people stink, which is totally ridiculous. I have met with and heard from constituents, community leaders, the Kenner Community Development Department, Jefferson Parish's Human Service Authority in regard to the homeless issues that have surfaced in District 4. My goal is to work towards a solution that offers assistance to the growing number of homeless people in our city, while at the same time making sure public safety is not compromised. There are many reasons for homeless. Some are very tragic, and understanding that, I plan to work with these departments mentioned above and offer real solutions to the problems in order to help them, Meeting with these departments, I have found there are programs to help the homeless. Hopefully, the homeless in our neighborhoods will see what is available to them, and by using these resources, find housing and are able to get themselves back on their feet. The millage tonight that was brought up by Jefferson Parish will also help the homeless because it will provide funding for the Human Services Department. Thank everyone who reached out to me in concerns in regards to the problem. The overwhelming majority of the responses were positive and understand what I am trying to do. I believe that they realize safety is my main concern. I'll continue to work with these departments in order to find the most effective approach to address this terrible situation. I'm a passionate person, and I place the highest priority on the public safety of the residents of Kenner. Tonight, there is another item on the agenda, item 13D, that will address surplus monies that have been found in the state of Louisiana, and these monies are being asked to be put towards mental health treatment, substance abuse treatment, and homeless assistance. The city of Kenner really needs these funds to be allocated by the state, which will help with this problem. If you have any questions, please feel free to call me, email me, whatever you need to do.
Thank you. No other comments, so please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 12B is summary ordinance number 12,439, an ordinance amending ordinance number 11,195, Section 7, miscellaneous rental items.
Motion by Councilmember Segura, second by Councilman Brannigan. Seeing no discussion, council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 13 is resolutions and motions by council members. Item 13A is a resolution authorizing the placement for temporary signs on public property for Kenner North Kiwanis Club.
Motion by Councilwoman McKinney, second by Councilman Hayes. Seeing no discussion, council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 13B is a resolution adopting the repetitive loss area analysis completed by Jefferson Parish Floodplain Management and Hazard Mitigation Department.
Motion by Councilmember Carroll, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan. Seeing no discussion, council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 13C is a resolution authorizing the placement of temporary signs on Kenner public property advertising Cleanup Kenner Day, hosted by Kenner United Incorporated.
Motion by Councilmember Wilmot, seconded by Councilwoman McKinney. Seeing no discussion, council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 13D is a resolution requesting and encouraging the governor of the state of Louisiana and the Louisiana legislature to expend some of the recently identified approximate $300 million surplus to help fund mental health treatment options, substance abuse treatment options, and/or homeless assistance in the state of Louisiana.
Motion by Councilmember Wilmot, second by Councilwoman McKinney. Councilman Wilmot, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to chime in and say at this point, the resolution simply encourages the governor and state legislature to expend some of the approximate $300 million surplus that we've had this past year toward the mentally ill, substance abuse, and homelessness. If the state did so, there may also be a federal match at stake. We must also keep in mind that a large portion of the $300 million surplus is going to go towards dedicated funding for certain things, such as replenishing the rainy day fund that must be done, and also certain capital outlay projects that the state has. But with all that in mind, I ask that my colleagues please support this measure. It's very important. Thank you.
Councilman Carroll.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I'd just like to, thank us for being able to be part of this. I, too, will be supporting this as it relates to the mental health aspect of it, because as we all know, the state of Louisiana mental health situation has been in a bad place for the past 4 years. It's the reality of it. I have the opportunity to work with individuals who are having challenges in their lives. Some are because of their mental illness, and without the proper care that they are needed, they wind up in jail, they wind up homeless, they wind up in places where they really shouldn't be. So this will ensure that we will be asking to show empathy to be able to fund these type projects that are very important for the state of Louisiana. We just got through talking about the millage to support the juveniles. Well, all of that is tied in because obviously juveniles live with parents, sometimes who have mental illness. It affects their homelessness. So it's a circle, it's a cycle that affects the entire family's entire neighborhood. So I will be supporting this. I ask that everyone does, and not only from the council standpoint, but if you as a citizen of the city of Kenner have the opportunity to speak with our state legislators, please reach out to them and tell them this is something important to you, to our families, and to the people of our great state. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Just also be happy to support this, and would like to, I know he's not here tonight, but I know he's been a somewhat frequent opponent of mental health and coming here, Mr. Oscar Cade, discussing issues that he would like to see addressed. So hopefully he'll watch this or hear about it and know to go to the state legislature and help get them to allocate the money for these needs. Seeing no other discussion, council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 14 is items removed from the consent agenda. We have none. Item 15 is acceptance of contracts and civil matters approved by the mayor. Item 15A is summary ordinance number 12,435. An ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Bayou Tree Service to provide landscape planning in accordance with sealed bid number 18-6441 and an amount not to exceed $30,000 for the Department of Public Works.
Motion by Councilmember Wilmot, second by Councilman Carroll. Seeing no discussion, council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15B is summary ordinance number 12,436, an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from GBP Direct Incorporated for a contract to provide copy paper for various city departments in the city of Kenner in accordance with telephone bid number T18-2223 and an amount not to exceed $20,000.
Motion by Councilmember Hayes, second by Councilmember Brennan. Seeing no discussion, council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15C is a resolution approving change order numbers 1, 2, and 3, final to the agreement with Tuna Construction LLC dated August 17, 2017, regarding the Pontchartrain Center parking lot improvements, decreasing the contract amount by $11,119,073 resulting in a total contract amount of $453,410.27, extending the construction contract time by 13 calendar days and accepting the project as substantially complete by the Department of Public Works.
Motion by Councilmember Hayes, second by Councilmember McKinney. Seeing no discussion, council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
Item 16 is resolutions, ordinances and resolutions in summary for first reading. Item 16A is an ordinance approving an amendment to ordinance 1469, 5620, 5789, and 10,999, and approving a planned unit development for a church facility located on parcel A-3A1-A1 of Canesburley Subdivision, Kenner, Jefferson Parish, Louisiana, case PUD-3-18. Item 16B is an ordinance amending ordinance number 11,062, adopted by the City of Kenner, Louisiana, on March 17, 2016, entitled Unified Development Code of the City of Kenner, Louisiana, more particularly amending and rezoning lots 1, 2, 6 through 16, 18A, 21A through 25, and 25 through 48, Square 505, Highway Park Subdivision, Kenner, Jefferson Parish, Louisiana, from RR1, Single Family Residential, to SI, Special Industrial, and directing and authorizing and empowering the Planning Director for the City of Kenner to alter and amend the official zoning map of the City of Kenner, Louisiana, case number Z-5-18. Item 16C is an ordinance ratifying the emergency purchase and installation of AC and condenser system from Tri-State Refrigeration Incorporated in the amount of $12,557.92 for the MRAP rescue vehicle of the Kenner Police Department. Item 16D is an ordinance authorizing the utilization of state contract number 4400009894 with Chauvin Brothers Tractor Incorporated for the purchase of 2 Bad Boy Outlaw XP 61-inch cut zero-turn lawnmowers and accessories in an amount not to exceed $40,000 for the Department of Public Works and Department of Parks and Recreation. Item 17 is reports from the council and/or special committees.
See none?
Item 18 is new business we took at an earlier juncture. Item 19 is unfinished business and/or motions to reconsider or remove from a tabled position. We have none. Item 20 is persons wishing to address the council on special subject matters.
Mr. Al Morella.
Al Morella, 4260 East Oyola Drive, 5th District, 46 years. I want to respond to some comments that was made in here at the last meeting. I want to direct this response to Councilman Carroll. Councilman Carroll, at the conclusion of the last meeting, I must have talked to about 20 people in the audience, and not one of them, every one of them that I talked to understood exactly what my comments were about. They also understood what my position was on the issue of the mayor's memo. Seems like the only one that didn't understand was you. So let me see if I can put it in a little simpler terms here. You expressed concern about the business community with that memo, with the message it was going to send. And what I said was, yes, the concern was correct concerning that memo. But what I was saying was that you've been on this council for about 10 years now. Is that correct? In your third term. I never once recall you expressing any concern at all about the business climate in our city and the business community. A lot of businesses that left out of here was right out of your own district. Now, while we're on this subject, I want to say this. We lost 2 businesses out of District 2. We lost 2 businesses out of District 4. And at 527 office building complex on West Esplanade, they got a for lease sign there. I understand there's a few vacancies in that building. So we have lost four businesses, I'll repeat it again, 2 in District 2 and 2 in District 4. So one other thing in closing, I want to say this also to Councilman Carroll. You stated about what I have the right to do and what I don't have the right to do. I suggest that you remember one thing. You might represent District 1, but I pay your salary, just like I do the other 6 up there. So you might want to remember that before you try to advise me what I have the right to do and what I don't have the right to do. I have the right to comment and respond on any statement that's made by anybody in this government. This is our government. You people work for us. I don't work for you. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Got some time left? Want to say this. Councilman Brannigan, I do agree with you. I was in a library the other day, and we do have laws on the books. We need to start enforcing them. I'm not for any new laws. I'm for enforcing the ones we have. One guy was out there drinking beer. What they should be doing is they should be utilizing the library and doing research as to where the homeless shelters are, where they can get help to find a path out of homelessness. Once again, anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Just a comment from Mr. Morrell. I do appreciate you keeping count of the businesses, but remember we have businesses that come and go as well as residents that come and go. And just yesterday and in the next 2 weeks, we will do 3 ribbon cuttings for new businesses in District 2. So we'll be ahead. Mr. Walt Benetti.
Thank you, Council President. Walt Benetti, 7 Bistineau Court. I'm here on behalf of Kenner United. I want to thank the council for approving our public gathering permit and our temporary sign permit. Thank Councilman Wilmot and his assistant Michelle for helping us with that. On October 27th, Saturday, October 27th, we'll be holding a fall cleanup Kenner Day, just as we did in the spring. Many of you attended. The mayor was there, along with members of the administration, several City of Kenner employees. We look for a big event there as well. As before, the Treasure Chest is our presenting sponsor, so we're very happy that they're on board, as well as Pepsi and numerous other sponsors, but I only have about 3 minutes. And there's still time if you'd like to sponsor. We have a few more days to get that in there. But we hope everyone comes out. As before, we will be congregating at Veterans Park that morning, the morning of Saturday the 27th at 9 a.m. to register people. But in addition, we will also be registering people in locations across Kenner to try to make it a little easier for people to participate, so they don't have to come to Veterans Park and then be dispersed throughout the city. They can register at places in Rivertown, in Lincoln Manor, in North Kenner, and at Laketown as well, to be closer so they don't have to commute back and forth. And then we will be meeting again at the end of the cleanup day at Veterans Park for a cleanup crew luncheon with food donated by several Kenner restaurants. So we appreciate everybody's support and hope to see many of you out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Benetti, and that is a worthwhile cause, so we appreciate you taking that up this for the second time and continue doing it. Mr. Richard Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. Richard Brown, 824 Sessions Lane, Kenner. First off, I want to thank the council and Councilman Brannigan for indefinitely deferring that loitering ordinance. As I think most of you know, I've talked to several of you. I had some serious problems with it. I thought it was more than likely unconstitutional and also overbroad and also too subject to abuse, because neighbors just gathering on the sidewalk in front of their houses could be targeted. I understand what Mr. Brannigan is trying to accomplish. I agree with him. I hope we can do something. And I like what I've heard about what the council has in mind. And I commend you for taking a different tack. And I appreciate it. Thank you. Second point I want to make, I agree with the mayor that when the city attorney says something is probably unconstitutional, we should pay attention to it. But I want to differ with him on a minor point. It is true that back several years ago, when the voters approved the charter amendment to make it illegal for department heads, directors to engage in political activity, then City Attorney Keith Conley did say he thought it was unconstitutional, but he thought the city had no right to enact such a provision at all. That's not what the federal court ruled. The federal court, the opinion is that the city absolutely does have the right, but that particular charter provision was overbroad, was not specific enough, and did not define clearly enough what activity is prohibited or permitted. So the city does have the right to restrict that activity, as the mayor did with his executive order, which is based on the Hatch Act. And I'm glad he did that. And the final point is that I think most of you know I am president of Citizens for a Better Kenner. And on behalf of Citizens for a Better Kenner, on behalf of the board, unanimous request, I wanted to ask the council to please not accept, or to instruct the clerk not to accept the filing of any ordinances or resolutions if they're filed simply by caption, not to accept them for filing unless the entire ordinance or the entire resolution exists. And I think your rules clearly require that. Rule 11 regarding agenda procedures, the necessary copies of every proposed ordinance or resolution shall be furnished to the clerk of the council by 12 noon on the Monday before the date of the council meeting, and then it tells who it's to be distributed to. Council Rule 12 says about the same thing, but it regards filing items for the supplemental agenda, that it must be filed by 12 noon on Wednesday. Both of these rules clearly require or anticipate that the entire ordinance will exist. And to file an ordinance by caption only, it doesn't appear on the agenda, but when people see the agenda published on the website, we can click on items and read the ordinance. But you can't do that if one is filed in blank.
All right, Richard, your time's up, please.
Okay, can I have about 15 seconds? This would be similar to a student turning in a term paper, my report on To Kill a Mockingbird, and there's a title and no text. Or an employee, a department head, turning in a report, my plan for reorganizing my department, and it's blank. You're going to be fired pretty quickly, probably. So
Thank
I
you.
ask that, please, let's file the complete ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Roussel?
Thank you. Mr. Brown, we have a really good relationship, but you're just wrong. I'm trying to say this as respectfully as possible on many levels in your statements just now. First of all, Keith Connolly did say that the legislation that was proposed, the charter provision, was unconstitutional, but you will recall that the legislation was originally put up as an ordinance. And the reason Keith Connolly said, I believe, that that the council didn't have authority to enact that was because they were exercising authority over employees that are supervised by the mayor. So on many levels, it was not a good idea to enact that legislation. It was unconstitutional. It violated the charter. It also violated state law. I think Mr. Connolly was pretty clear. I'd love to share his opinion with you, which is in writing, and you could get a public records request and get it. But I think you're wrong, and it's disingenuous to say that what Mr. Connolly said was incorrect, because it was not. And I think the court agreed. But in regard to putting items up before the council that are only by caption, we discussed this at the last meeting. It is allowed, it is permissible, it is oftentimes necessary. And again, Mr. Brown, your analogies are interesting, but they're just incorrect. I don't know what else to say, but I just don't want this council to think that just because Mr. Brown gets up here and says that you can't do it because of this, and you need to listen to me. I'm the city attorney. You need to listen to your legal department. I understand Mr. Brown has concerns about it, as do many others, but sometimes it is necessary. Sometimes it must happen. So we try to make minimal use of that because I know many of you have concerns as well. But sometimes it is necessary, and it's legally permissible. It's okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Greg Teff?
Yes, my name is Greg Taft. I live at 3720 West Loyola Drive. You know, you're probably right legally. It may be proper. But I think the other side of that coin is, as I recall when the elections were running, a lot of candidates were saying they want transparency in government. They wanted transparency so people would know what their government is doing, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent, or what you're doing for them. And caption does not create transparency. If you look at the average citizen, and that's who I am, you know, the little guy that really doesn't understand all these important things, unless I can read it, it looks like we're hiding something. And when you go into it and you see it, it just doesn't look right because, again, transparency says open. We're going to be open and forthwith with you. That is my problem with it. I know the attorney's already told me it's legal. Hey, I'm not an attorney, so I can't fight that. I just want that to be said, that it's more of, do you want to be a good government for the people, or do we want to hide things and make people guess and wonder what we're doing? That's what it does to the average person. Now, someone well-educated, that's different. But a lot of us are not well-educated. The other thing I want to bring up is I brought up a situation where our mediums, like on West Loyola, East Loyola, they don't have signs. And they're getting torn up from people parking on them, spinning their tires or whatever they do. Four-wheelers, you know, these little, whatever you want to call them, are riding up and down those mediums. We really need to put some signs out there and really start enforcing the no parking and no riding on the medium. There is a truck that actually parks on the medium on West Loyola. And to me, the medium is not made to be a parking spot. And when the people come and cut it, it looks like crap because, you know, everything is got gouges in it and what have you, and it doesn't look appealing. All I'm asking is that we need to put signs out there, and we probably should start enforcing people parking on the mediums. And that's really all I have to say tonight. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. You want the floor now? Councilwoman McKinney?
Lee, I just want to clarify, a first reading is only to let the public know what we are going to discuss and vote on in the following meeting, correct?
I'm so pleased you asked that question. Yes, it's a first reading. By charter and in council rules, it's read in summary. And summary means the caption is read, and the caption only needs to describe what the legislation is about. It has to give some substance, but obviously a caption can't be, you know, it can't go on and on and on. So yes, it's read in summary at one meeting. It cannot be discussed at that meeting. It has to lay over for 2 weeks. That caption gets advertised, in fact, only the caption, and then at the next meeting is when the council considers the legislation. If the legislation, for example, would not be ready at the next council meeting, it could still be deferred. It is still something pending before the council, but it is just read in summary. Yes, Councilwoman McKinney.
Okay, and then, but the requirement is that the backup documentation has to be provided before the time of the meeting in the first reading instance, correct?
Before the time of action by the council, that's correct. And
right.
We obviously would get that to you all before the council meeting, because, you know, we would never expect, well, if it's your legislation, but we would never expect you to vote on something that you hadn't had time to read and digest. But, yeah, you know, there's 2 weeks in between first reading and action.
Right, thank you. That's what I wanted to clarify. I appreciate that.
Councilman Brannigan?
Lee, on that issue, it gives 2 weeks. I mean, once the body of the thing is put in, I mean, it's online and everybody can access it, and they have 2 weeks to do it. So I don't see what the issue is there. You know, when they talk about stuff that's going from the floor, you know, like a situation today, we had an item from the floor on the porch and patio thing. You have to get these things, we have to get these things done. So that's legal to do it like that.
That is correct. And Mr. Brown, you will remember that you actually helped us through this when the law was changed about the procedure for getting items on from the floor. And we actually, I believe, Ms. Natalie Hall-Tartaglia, you know, we had to amend our council rules to include that language from state law. So yes, but it is a state law that allows you to add things on the agenda from the floor.
Okay, and in a perfect world, everything would be on the agenda Monday at 12 o'clock, and we wouldn't have these little bumps. But in a situation like Porch and Patio with a problem they had trying to get their deal done, sometimes our hands are tied. I mean, you can't leave a business owner out hanging in that situation. And
Yes.
so there probably will be things that have to be put on from the floor, especially when it's a business situation, you know, and you just can't treat the businesses like that.
It's a timing issue.
We can't tell them we're going to see you in 2 weeks if they got an event that they have to get on the agenda for approval before that 2 weeks is up. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Your only other option, council member, would be to call a special meeting for the purpose of approving a public gathering permit. So,
Well, as long as it's not Saturday night, I'm in Tiger Stadium. I don't have a problem with that.
Mayor Zahn?
Thank you, I appreciate it. And let me just say this. If we don't do these types of things, or y'all don't do these types of things, and we're the ones that asked for this, for a council person to put it up, we don't want to discourage business in the city of Kenner. I have Porch and Patio tonight that came to us and asked for this. Tomorrow it could be someone else in South Kenner. It could be someone in District 4. We obviously, with the problems in District 4 that are isolated in that little corridor right there, I don't want to send out the wrong signal. This is how you do business in the city of Kenner. You can't get something done. I don't want to discourage any business, any type of retail business, any type of eating establishment. Tonight it's Porch and Patio, because we don't want them to say, well, you know what? We don't want to keep on doing this because we can't get our council, we can't get our elected officials. Mr. Morello was very, very good about saying, we all work for him. Absolutely. We also work for these businesses that are in the city of Kenner. So while we're working for Mr. Morello and others, we're also working for our businesses. We want to be business friendly. We don't want to send out the wrong message to anybody in the city of Kenner. We may have some things coming into the pavilion, as you and I have talked about. We may have some things changing at the mall. We may. We want to make it a reality. We're not going to make it a reality if we say, oh, you know what? We got somebody who doesn't like, or a couple of people that don't like things from the floor. They don't like certain things that are placed in caption only. You know what? This is a $60 million business. The parish is a $600 million business. The parish has no problem doing what you all are doing. And I don't like to refer back to we need to be like Jefferson Parish. That's not what I'm saying. But Jefferson Parish does not have the problems that the city of Kenner does. You know why? Because they're progressive. So I appreciate the council. I appreciate my administration for moving these things forward and getting it done. Legal is telling all of us it's legal. That's all I need. That's all you all need. I appreciate what y'all do.
Councilman Hayes?
Mr. Mayor, we heard tonight about several businesses that have closed. It seems like we're going to ribbon cuttings left and right. Do you have a number of how many ribbon cuttings we have had since the first of the year?
I had it yesterday morning, and I'm just going to go off the top of my head, and Mary Sharon Holland's here. She can come up and correct me if I'm wrong. Since 2017, when I took office and also some council members were still here, we have done roughly 50 ribbon cuttings. It might be a little bit more, it might be a little bit less. We have done occupational license since 2017, since I've been here. I think it's 500, and I'm not going to be exact, 540, I don't know, 530. That is not, we lose a few, like Mr. Morella said, but we gain a lot more. We're going to continue to gain a lot more. So yes, very good question. We're not dying. You've heard that during the mayor campaign. This is a dying city. I'm not saying it's a dying city. This is a progressive city. We are moving forward. So doing those things that we've done, it's like anything else, Mr. Hayes. You've been in the banking business all your life. You know, you got good days and you got bad days. I've got good days and bad days in the decorating business. You can't continue to go or live off of an idea that because we lose a few, that we're going to die. We are doing really, really well in the city of Kenner. We're about to do better. Councilman Brannigan and I were on the phone with the pavilion owner, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, in a conference call. There are some promising things coming to the pavilion. I'm not going to discuss it tonight because it's still in motion. Those things will probably become a reality, but if we start doing things that we're being told tonight, I'm going to tell you, we are going to start dying. So, and Mary Sharon, you're here tonight. If I misquoted, please come up here and correct me, but roughly those are the numbers that we're looking at since 2017. Just in the last couple of months, since this council has been here, this new council with the former members, y'all seen the ribbon cuttings. I think we have, like you said, I think we have one scheduled for next week, two scheduled for next week. She's on the phone every day with businesses scheduling ribbon cuttings. So we're gaining a lot more than what we're losing. We're going to see a change. I said the day we got sworn in. By the year 2020, I truly believe you'll see a change in the city of Kenner. Look around. Things are changing. At the ribbon cutting yesterday, which was for Como Pharmacy, I announced there's a veterinary clinic coming, there's El Paso coming, and also a salad station. I like the numbers that we're seeing. I like the progress we're seeing. And it's the help of this council with us all working together, my administration, our chief of police, working, keeping the city safe, our fire chief showing that it's also safe, everyone working together.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to just say we don't want to do things just well. We want to do things exceedingly well. So thank you so much.
All right, Pastor Jackie Brown Cockerham.
Good evening. Somebody should have offered an old lady a seat, huh? Good evening. I'd just like to say just a couple of things about the new area that the gentleman spoke about with the hotel. Is that on the, I guess, the north side of Veterans Boulevard?
Yes.
Where this new hotel is coming up? Okay, so in layman terminology, there's all of the numbers and the squares and all of that. Which one of those empty lots would that be for the hotel over there? And I'm going to get through the questions first, like you told me before. The other thing is for, let's see, Mr. Brannigan, Wilmot, Morella, and Carroll. I would love to absolutely say I support you, and I would like to be a part of what you're doing with the mental health situation and the $300 million from the state. I am concerned as to whether or not Kenner actually has a place, a facility for homeless or for the mental health in the city of Kenner, because I would definitely like to be involved in that. The other thing is, Mr. Muhammad, there's the airport property that's behind my home, and there's some overgrown weeds at the end of Decatur Street that you spoke with me about, and I want to know if it has been addressed on the violations under Kenner Code enforcement. Let's see. I don't want to leave anything because I do have a few more seconds. Okay, I think that's about it. Other than, and thank you for the cleanup date that's coming to Kenner. Yes, Kenner is progressive. I agree with the mayor on that. And it's alive and well. I would like to know the date for this cleanup, if you've come up with one already. Did you want to know? October 20th? Okay, all right. Okay. Okay, and the last thing, I know the last time we were here, if I'm not mistaken, prior to that, Mayor Zahn, you mentioned about Maria DeFrances being a part of a board, volunteer, and of course I suggested that, you know, she should get top dollars, but I want to know if by chance you had an opportunity to offer a volunteer position to Ms. Haynes, Kelly Haynes, who's, you said is a very successful real estate broker here, and that she could offer her assistance, her professionalism to consult and to contact, but at the same time, give someone this position, this $25,000 position, who does not have an income coming into their home, so that now we have another family with an income who's employable. I got 10 seconds left. Did good.
Is it?
Oh.
You're free to answer.
Okay, where are we at? You
Any
gotta tell me that.
finish, or you?
Yes.
Okay. You want to go first, Mayor?
If I could just knock those two things out real quickly, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Maria DeFrancis was offered a board position, and in discussions with Maria, she declined it.
Oh, yeah, I know, I remember you
Okay.
saying that.
And then Kelly Han, a little bit too late, has already been offered the position, $25,000 part-time. I mean, if for some reason something happens in the future, I'd be willing to talk to you about that.
Well, I'm not interested in a position.
No,
I'm
about
just
somebody you might
interested in
have
someone
in mind.
Employable. If she could offer her professionalism, maybe to train someone or to mentor someone to get this done,
Okay.
take this position.
Yeah, well, we've reached out to the council for representation on the work with Ms. Hand, so maybe that's something I can work very closely with Councilman Carroll with since you're in his district.
Obviously, I missed what you said.
I may have missed what you wanted, I don't know. We might be on two different wavelengths. Ms. Councilman
I
Carroll, you
take
want
it
to
you
jump
were
in? Maybe
trying
I'm missing
to get the
something?
mayor to put Ms. Haynes on some board?
No.
Hire her?
He mentioned that Ms. Haynes was,
Kelly Han.
Kelly
she's
Haynes,
saying
who
it.
served as the.
Okay, Kelly.
I think we're all getting messed up
Yeah,
somewhere.
okay, just,
And I know
Kelly.
he mentioned that she was a successful real estate
Right.
individual. So my question would be, rather than, had you had an opportunity, or did you offer her a position to volunteer her services to maybe train someone who is not employed, so that that $25,000 might go in the household of someone who does not have an income?
No, I did not.
As a volunteer? Okay, all right.
okay. Thank you. Anything else? Because your time was up, so I just want to.
About code enforcement, yeah, my time been up, you
Okay.
guys were answering the question.
Your planning question.
Okay.
It was about where the hotel's going to go, correct? The rezoning? You were
About the
asking.
where?
You were asking where the rezoning exactly is going to be?
Well, they answered on vets,
They did?
off the
Yeah.
other side of vets.
North side of vets. She's good.
Yes,
North side of vets.
okay.
Okay.
And Ms. Muhammad?
Yes, ma'am. As we rode around together for a couple hours the other day, I truly enjoyed my time with you.
It was
But
good.
I explained to you when we were in the car together that it's going to take a little time, and it's a process, and we are working on it. And you agreed with me that we are moving in a positive direction in your neighborhood. And as we discussed, your neighborhood is the best it's ever been. So I think that you know that we are working on that, and it might be a couple of more days, but the airport will be out there to cut that grass and make it happen. Just like I told you, we make things happen here in the city of Kenner.
All right.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Pastor. Councilman Wilmot?
Thank you. Mr. President. And Pastor Jackie, I had wanted to follow up on some of the things that you talked about with regard to mental health, just to give you some information that I wanted to share. First off, the state is divided into 10 service districts, Jefferson Parish being one of them. The service district for Jefferson Parish encompasses all of Jefferson Parish. Some other districts overlap and so forth, but that's what we have. We have the Jefferson Parish Human Services Authority. We had some folks here that were earlier today that are directors and so forth that were here. They actually work in that department. They get funding from the state to operate in Jefferson Parish. We also have another group that's called the Extra Mile Program. They actually do a lot of help with the mental health, substance abuse, and so forth. So those are two of the big groups that I just wanted to share with you, and I can give you more details about that after the meeting. You're quite welcome. Thank you, Mr. President.
One second, Greg, trying to go. Nope. George, turn your button off for a second. Councilman Carroll.
Thank you, Mr. President. And this is a couple of comments to Mr. Morella. Just to let you know, Mr. Morella, this will be my last time addressing the comments from the last meeting. I have a two meeting that I don't go back again and talk again. So you and I will be able to talk about other things, I'm sure, in the future. But please go back and look at the tape as it relates to my comments about your political position that I said about you were saying two different things. So please go back and say that. But the next thing is that when you get up to the microphone and make comments or say things as the authority, in this particular case, you spoke as the authority for District 1 or the authority for the city of Kenner as it relates to businesses, and you were wrong for a lot of it. You are not the historian for District 1. And as it relates to you being the historian over my tenure on the council, you are not privy to my phone calls. You're not privy to my emails. You're not privy to our conversations as it relates to businesses. You're just setting the meeting and heard the gentleman about the hotel, which is a business in District 1, but that went right over your head. You didn't realize that was District 1. All of us are responsible. I am not the only person that's responsible for District 1, and I can't do it by myself. It is the mayor, it is the administration, it is all of us up here. We don't take awards or trophies for each one in our district. We all do it together, and that is the part that you have to understand. It is a team effort. So we'll talk about other things, again, I'm sure in the future, but just understand all of these things that we do, we don't have to broadcast it a lot. We look at the end results. That's what we want to see. That's what the people in the city of Kenner want to see. They don't want to see us sit up here and grandstand about what I've done or what I will do. It is a team effort. That is what I'm more comfortable working with as a former athlete. And I think this will help us move along the city of Kenner in the direction that we're going. So you're entitled to your opinions, but you're not entitled to your facts. And I'm just saying, as we move forward, if you want to come up here again, that's fine, but just try to be a little bit more factual sometimes, and I would appreciate that. And we can, continue our friendship that we have. I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. All right. You want to go now or later? Okay, press your button. No, press your button again. Okay, Councilman Brannigan.
Richard and Greg, I just want to let you guys know that y'all brought up the deal about the meetings and things that are, on the agenda late or, by the supplemental agenda, and things do happen, and we talked about that before. I can tell you, if we were selling this building, that's going to have all the documentation and backup that's needed for you to understand what the process is and that you can go online. But the permit stuff is the stuff that we've been dealing with and having problems with. If something's running late, again, I want to stress that we're not going to stop a business. But I'm not trying to, discredit you guys or attack you guys or anything like that. I just want you to know that stuff happens sometimes. But important things, that's not going to happen on a big deal.
All right. Next, Ms. Celie Molina. Did I pronounce it correct, I hope?
Celie Molina.
Celie.
3629 East Louisiana State Drive in Kenner. I'm a homeowner, a business owner, and the administrator of We're From Kennerborough, which it's a social media group that hosts approximately 8,000 Kenner residents or people who have family in Kenner. And first, I'd like to give thanks to this honorable council for giving me the opportunity to address and for serving the city of Kenner. My initial intention was to address the loitering ordinance, but that's been handled, so I don't want to take any time on doing that. I want to take the few minutes that I have to address the lack of transparency by which the ordinance came to be on our agenda. Had we taken the time in writing it, reviewing it, considering the way the mayor had stated, the entire thing could have been avoided if we would have just taken a little bit of time. And I have only recently, within the last few years, have started to take notice of the actions of this and previous administrations. The proposed doubling of our property taxes without the vote of the people and the 2030 plan were the items that awoken me out of my apathy a few years ago. And one of the things that I've noticed is that ordinances and items of all levels of importance are placed on the agenda at the very last minute by caption only, excluding we the people from information that affects the quality of life here in our beloved city. I've noticed huge amounts of money that are allocated to beautification while we lack basic services like sidewalks to our businesses, our hospitals, our parks. And so transparency in government is the key to reinforcing and ensuring the trust of the people with the council and the administration. And as we the people take notice, we're also taking notice of the individual votes of each council person. And we're taking notice because we're also gathering information to answer questions as which one of you councilmen or women are going to be our future mayor, and will our mayor be our future parish president? And so for me, as as you guys move along or move from seat to seat, it's important for somebody like me to see that your intentions are honorable and transparent and that I have access to that information and I can go onto my city website and just click and look at the ordinance and have those 2 weeks to read it. And although I understand it's been covered, it's legally permissible and it's okay, I just like to say that I understand clearly the statements of the mayor that sometimes it's necessary for businesses, but it shouldn't become habit. And the only thing that I really would like to say is that from my point of view, if you vote against something at the last minute by caption only, in my opinion, you wouldn't be viewed as uncooperative with the council, but you would be viewed, in my opinion, as the one that stands out and stands up for the people that you serve, that have voted for you, elected, and look to trust and for you to serve them. So that's it. I just really wanted to touch a little bit about transparency and how important it is to build the trust between the people and the government, for us to see exactly what it is that you guys are proposing, what are y'all doing, what are y'all spending, where is it going. A lot of people don't care, but some nerds like me do. We care. We want to see, we want to look, we want to know. And that's it. That's all I have to say. That's it.
Thank you. Ms. Teresa Hastings.
I just want to read this brief note. I just want to speak publicly on a matter that's very dear to my heart. As the mayor and the council and most of the administration know, I am the mother of 2 Kenner firefighters. On Tuesday of this week, my youngest son was working a normal car fire, if there is such a thing, when circumstances arose and he was suddenly engulfed in fire. I'm not going to go into specifics on the matter, but I would like to say on September 7, 2017, this council and past council agreed to give additional money to the administration to purchase new bunker gear for all of our firefighters. It is my personal feelings and belief that this new equipment saved my son's life or at the very least, kept him from being burned or scarred for the rest of his life. It is from the depths of my heart, as well as other mothers of firefighters, I'm sure, that I would like to sincerely thank the mayor, all of the council members, the police chief, fire chief, as well as Ms. Foshee for her efforts in making sure that my boys and all other firefighters have the necessary gear to keep them safe while doing their jobs. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that concludes the people wishing to address the audience. Motion for close. Second. Eaton close.